Hey folks, Dr. Rowe here. Hope you're well. I just want to check that my microphone is on. I did do a post a little while ago and the mic wasn't working. Anyway, let me just take that off the screen just for a minute and let me move out the way. Can you see the image that's there? It's a guy that's filtering things out. So I wanted to just tackle the subject really quickly. It's Friday night. I know it's late and some of you may not be watching this right now, but hopefully you'll watch it later on. I think we've got a lot going on at the moment in the world where people are coming out of the lockdown situation, certainly in the United Kingdom. At the same time, there's information coming at them at left, right and centre. Conversations are happening. I'm hearing people having conversations with family members. I'm hearing people having conversations with friends. People are overhearing conversations. There's information coming through media, through pretty much everywhere, everything from phone to computers, through Facebook, etc. And it's very hard. If you started this year with a sense of purpose and you wanted to get focused on things, and all of a sudden there's all these distractions, you may even felt like, I'm just meandering a little bit. I've lost that momentum that I started at the beginning of the year, and it's very, very easy. If you think of yourself as a river with tributaries, all these different small rivers that can shoot off left, right, and centre. If you could easily find yourself drawn into different conversations, different places, and be distracted from getting the results that you want to get. So, not everybody feels like this, but I think a lot of people get to a point of overwhelm when they're just not quite sure what to deal with next. Now, I have covered this in other videos in the past, but I wanted to just share this with you, see if I can pull this up for you. So let me just pull that on the screen there. Main thing is this, when on a day-to-day basis, I think it's really, really important to go back to what your primary focuses are or focus is, and what are the goals that you set for yourself in terms of your personal life, your professional life, your health, your relationships, all those things, and simply decide what your beliefs are about those areas. Decide what your values are. I know this sounds pretty deep. Why do I need to do that on a daily basis? You don't need to do it on a daily basis, but you certainly need to do it to be able to set your compass. A lot of the stuff that's happening at the moment is challenging people's moral compass. And so, we might go to a social gathering now and we hear multiple conversations happening around us, and we either shrink away from them or we get involved with them, but then they can distract us. So decide on who you are, what you believe in, and what at the moment is important to you. I think that's the key thing here, because when there's this much coming at us, if we have no filter, we'll absorb and listen to and have opinions on and process pretty much anything that comes at us. So the first thing is, and I do this a lot, is what is important to me right now. Decide on what areas you want to put your energy onto, and then decide what you don't want to, what conversations you don't want to have, what debates that you don't want to have, what conversations you don't want to be drawn into, what subjects you don't want to discuss. I'm not saying that you want to ignore them, but they may not be relevant to you at the moment. That's number one. And then tune out. Literally choose not to listen to certain channels or read certain posts or follow certain Facebook groups, or even you can mute WhatsApp groups. If you're involved with a WhatsApp group and you don't need to be there all the time, often with WhatsApp groups stuff flashes up and you're drawn into it. So learn to tune out. Take off notifications off your phone so that you're not constantly reminded of things. And develop, and I've learned to do this actually, develop an approach where when things hit you auditorily and they're coming in through your hearing, through all your different senses, visual and hearing, is just choose to ignore them. And as simple as that may sound, and almost simplistic as it may sound, I've learned to do it over the years. And I think when you have a strong set of values and a strong set of beliefs, and it's not about being egotistical or having a moral high ground. I think it's important to have high moral standards, but I'm not talking about I'm better than you. It's just more a case of, well, this is what I believe, and I choose not to listen to, engage with, and take part in those conversations. I'm assuming this might make sense. You might want to give me a thumbs up if anybody's listening that can do that. And I know you might argue, well, it's not as easy to do, Dr. O. And that's true. It isn't in some situations, especially if you're caught in the crossfire. But on a day-to-day basis, for example, you've got your kids there, maybe you want to do something with your children, but then you get a phone call or somebody's message on the phone, and before you know it, you're drawn into what could be some kind of conflict-style conversation on WhatsApp, and it stirs up your emotions, and it gets you a bit riled up, and you feel a bit pissed off, and that happens to all of us. It happens to me, and you go, fuck it. So you start responding, and before you know it, it's like a vortex, and you're pulled into that, and before you know it, 10, 20 minutes has gone and your kids are still waiting to talk to you, to have a game with you, to play with you, to go out and do something with you. So again, this is why beliefs and values are so important. What comes first? Do you value your family time and having that really special moment with them and being present versus, oh, I just got to get this done. I've got to respond to this. Why do you have to respond to that? If you've decided already it's not relevant, then fucking don't listen to it. Just tune it out. And sometimes that's easier said than done. But once you develop a habit for it, it starts to change the way the world happens around you. Some people will realize, actually, he's not going to engage in this anymore. Oh, don't talk to Ro about that because you won't get anything out of him. And that's not negative. It's just that it's not relevant to Ro at this moment in time. And it doesn't engage. It doesn't help me to be involved with that conversation if it's distracting. Because every conversation you're drawn into, everything that you allow to bombard you emotionally, intellectually, spiritually, there's only so much you can take. Vibrationally, it will create stress in your body. So if you can simplify, detox, and filter, then tuning out will stop the unconscious dialogue that happens to all of us, myself included. No matter who it is, we all have that unconscious dialogue. And then number 3 is consider whether you want to even re-enter into, and consider who you want to have around you, and consider what conversations you're choosing to have. Really consider that. And ask yourself the question, does this conversation, thank you for the thumbs up, whoever just did that. Consider the question, is it even relevant that I have this fucking conversation? I mean, how many of you have had a conversation where we've been here before? It feels like we've been here before. We've had this dialogue, or the whole COVID thing, mask, no mask, vaccination, no vaccination. And I'm not going to go into a whole opinion that I have on things because it's pretty strong that way I feel about it all. But the point is that I'm hearing the same bloody conversations over and 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 over again. And people get some sense of connection and gratification from having those conversations, but they're not serving us. So actually ask a sensible question. Do I even want to have that conversation? Do I need to get drawn into it? And if you consider it really carefully, the consideration is, if I get drawn into it, how much time is it going to take? What's it going to distract me from? You've decided where you want to be over here. So anything that distracts you from that, just chop it off. Ignore it. Don't be rude. Just say to people, just to let you know, I've made a decision. I want to tune out these conversations because I'm finding it's drawing me into them and it's taking up so much time. I bet you if you said that to maybe 5 or 6 friends, half of them at least would say, fuck, that's so true. I'm feeling exactly the same way, and I'm really glad you said that because I'm going to do the same thing. And then finally, number 4 is focus, and that's just about refocusing as quickly as possible on the things that are important to you. So I find that tuning out from negative and staying focused on what I want to achieve, it actually makes it more productive for me because that is the most important. If it's my kids, it's my kids. If it's my work, it's my work. If it's my relationship, it's my relationship. If it's my health, it's my health. Whatever it is, but just it's like become really tunnel vision, and it's like when you focus in and become tunnel vision, quite often the senses anyway naturally tune other stuff out that's not relevant. So focus is the final part to the process. Right. Anyway, have a good evening. Signing out. So, just tune out to everything and learn to filter. Just do the stuff that's really important, that's going to make the quality of your life just that little bit better.